My name is Miss Jackie, and I work with the Game Plan College team, one of the post-secondary access advisors. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to introduce Ms. Becky Robertson, and she will be talking to us a little bit about Milligan College. I do ask that you please mute yourself, and if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box at the bottom, and she will make sure to get to your questions at the end of her presentation.
Are we ready? All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you. We know that optimally would be to be sitting across the table talking with you, but like I told these ladies earlier, that I was thankful to have the Zoom platform to be able to meet with you guys. My name is Becky Robertson, and I'm one of the admissions recruiters at Milligan. So I will be going through a presentation just telling you a little bit about Milligan, our programs, all of our offerings, and then once we finish the presentation, I am so happy to be able to take your questions. So we'll get started. I wanted to just pop up a little slide of our team. I work with our undergraduate student population along with Jess. We kind of split the alphabet, so we work with that group of students, and then Gus is our athletic liaison. So if anyone has interest in that, Gus would be the recruiter that would help you through the admission process. And then Joy is our transfer coordinator. Rita is our campus visit coordinator. So in the future, when we get back to our actual on-campus visit, she would be the person that would set that up for you. And then Kristen right there in the middle is our director. And then America is our communications director. So if you have received or in the future receive any kind of email communications from us, America is typically the one who's sending those out to you. So I just wanted you to kind of get a feel for our team. So I wanted to kind of start too by letting you know, because this event is coming up actually Saturday, we're hosting a virtual preview day event. And as you can see, we've scheduled out from about 11 to 3 some different panels that you can be involved in, a financial aid Q&A, you'll get a virtual tour, and then a lot of our faculty are going to be on participating as well. So whatever program of interest you have, you could actually meet with the professor in that major. And then at 3 o'clock, myself and Jess are hosting an admitted student hangout. But I've also provided the link for you in case you wanted to go and just check out and actually register for that event. The link is there for you. So a lot of times, I know the college search process can be a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of factors to consider. So basically, I know what you guys are looking for is just that right fit. And so as you can kind of see from this slide, there are a lot of factors that play into that. As far as admissions, cost, proximity to your home, what size college you're looking for, the atmosphere on the campus, academics, and then, of course, the geographic location. So hopefully as we move through this presentation, you'll kind of get a feel for all of these different aspects of Milligan. And again, at the end, if we don't cover something, you can certainly ask your questions. So with that, we'll get started. And one of the first things that we want to introduce our prospective students to is just the mission of Milligan, who we are. And so we are a Christian liberal arts college. And as such, our mission statement is that we seek to honor God by educating men and women to be servant leaders. So really, all the way across the board at Milligan, just woven throughout our academics, just our campus community, with our faculty, everything, that is our driver, that we want to help students develop not only academically, but in their relationship with God, and then graduating with that sense of purpose and calling. So with that in mind, I guess simply put, it's, you know, helping our students to love God, love people, and ultimately, when graduating, you leave Milligan to go out and serve the world. So Milligan has 3 pillars that support our mission, and they are scholarship, community, and faith. So those are 3 pillars that we'll now kind of cover. With scholarship, that refers to our academic side. A lot of times when you hear the word scholarship, you think of in terms of financial aid, but this is more of the academic side of things at Milligan. So we offer, as you can see from the slide, over 100 plus programs, and that includes majors, minors, pre-professional programs, and graduate studies. And all of these are basically broken down by schools. We have 5 schools. One is our School of Arts and Humanities, the School of Bible and Ministry, the School of Business and Technology, the School of Sciences and Allied Health, and then finally the School of Social Sciences and Education. So all of what you see listed here is broken down into 5 different schools. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about, as I mentioned earlier, we are a liberal arts institution and kind of what that means. And so the idea in mind with liberal arts is that students that come to Milligan would get a real broad base of knowledge. We're very student focused. We have very small class sizes. Our student to faculty ratio is about 12 to 1. So at Milligan, you're definitely going to know your professors. They're going to know you by name. So you're definitely not a number at Milligan. And I think a lot of times students appreciate that because it is easy sometimes to feel like you get lost in the crowd. So just wanted to let you guys know that in that small class setting, you will get a lot of personal interaction with your professors. It's also a place where you're going to get a great preparation for grad school if that's something that you are thinking about or will be thinking about in the future. One of the things also is that employers really value the liberal arts because it really helps the student develop in the areas of communication, of analytics, of working in teams, which so many companies have that real collaborative approach to the work environment now. So those are things that you will develop as you're a student at Milligan. So we feel like that's going to be very valuable to you in your career going forward. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is our core curriculum. So it's kind of broken down in 3 different sections. So the core is basically broken down into your relationship with God, with one another, and then with creation. So in terms of your relationship with God, the courses you would kind of see, and that would be like our Bible courses, Old Testament, New Testament, Christ in Culture, College and Service, and then Spiritual Formation Program. As far as relationship with one another, that's where you're going to have like your humanities classes, social learning, ethnic studies, and your speech classes. And then your relationship with creation would be like your fitness classes, science classes, and math classes. So that's how we break down our core curriculum. And then we also have what's called humanities. So I know in some institutions you have like a separate history class or literature class or philosophy or fine arts, but in at Milligan we sort of wrap them all together, and we take a look at the courses together through the lens of time. So we're looking all the way back to ancient cultures, all the way up to the 20th and early 21st century. So you're basically, and I had never seen it taught this way before, but I think that it makes perfect sense. And students really say, like our students get a lot of feedback about humanities, that it really helps it to gel better in your mind because you're not really studying these isolated different subjects and time periods apart from each other, but together, and seeing how that has changed basically culture over time. So it's a real interesting approach. I also wanted to just mention a little bit about our faculty. I can't say enough about them as far as their mentoring of students, their depth of research, and just the Christian scholarship that they incorporate into their classes. Faculty are very available and very much are about the success of our students. And so I can't say enough about our faculty. You'll get definitely along with that in whatever program that you're in, there's a lot of hands-on experience. We feel like that really translates to the real world because ultimately one day you'll graduate and you'll have a career. And so having hands-on experience gives you that leg up. And I just love this photo right here. This was actually taken, this was our engineering program, and our freshman students who are in the engineering program work on a program called Go Baby Go. And what that program is our freshman students take the little Power Wheels Jeeps that you see, and people have donated them to Milligan. And so the students will go in and re-engineer those for kids with special needs. And so every year they try to give away 2 or 3 of these to kids in our area. But that's just an example of kind of meshing the mission and the hands-on experience. It really ties in well with what Milligan's all about in serving folks and serving our community. Next, I wanted to move on to just the study abroad opportunities that students have. As you can see from the slide, we've been all over the place, you know, in the States and outside of the U.S. But students just love our study abroad program, and so many of them do participate. So if that's something that you would be interested in, these are just a few of the options that you would have. And there is a humanities tour that takes place in Europe, and then one also within the U.S. in New York. So that's a really cool experience for our students. We also offer an Office of Student Success for students, which is really important to know that that's available to you. We have mentoring for our students, advising, tutoring, and this would be tutoring for your classes, and then also we have career advisement as well. So as you're getting toward your junior and senior year and you're thinking more about applying for jobs and things like that, our Office of Student Success is there to coach you and to help you kind of at each step of the way. The community at Milligan, which I love talking about the community at Milligan, it's a very close-knit, family-oriented community, very nurturing place. And so we have a lot of traditions, and I'll talk about those a little bit more, but just wanted to share that at Milligan, again, it doesn't take very long at all to make connections. We actually, when we have our move-in week, you're already paired with a mentor, and you already are in a group within your dorm, so you kind of already have that instant family and friendship already built in as you're starting out at Milligan. As this slide says, right now we're at about 1,300 students. We have about 35 states and nations represented, so we have folks from all over. Our average ACT score is about 24, and our incoming GPA is 3.5. And I share that as an average because we do have students that are outside of those ranges. So that's just an average, but if you're below that or above that, you know, we definitely look at admissions in a holistic way. And so we don't just look at one particular score. We really like to get to know the student as a whole. And so just wanted to say that as well, that these are just averages. As we were talking about the traditions that we have at Milligan, a lot of fun things going on all the time, but one of the things that we do every year is something called Wonderful Wednesday. And it's kind of a surprise event because our students don't know that it's coming, but sometime within the semester, our Dean of Students will make that call, and students wake up that morning expecting to go to class, and then on that particular day, classes are canceled, and there's just fun events planned all day long on the campus. So that's called a Wonderful Wednesday. We have a Christmas concert every year, as you can see from the slide. It's just phenomenal. We have open mic nights, really fun homecoming event, and that's where our current students and then our alumni come and gather at our campus, and just a host of events going on during that weekend, and a parade. And our, as you can see right there, our mascot is Brutus, the buffalo, and so in times past we have had a live buffalo in our parade, so that's kind of a fun time. Heritage is one of our musical groups that sings all over. They travel everywhere, but we have several ensembles, so if that's something that you enjoy, there's plenty of opportunity to get involved through our music program. We have a welcome week that's outstanding, where for an entire week there's special events and programs planned just for the new students coming on campus. And then we also have a one-act film festival, and we do have a theater on campus, so we do offer several different plays throughout the year, but this is also in addition to that, we have this one-act film festival. That's lots of fun. As far as res life, as you can see from the slide, over 70% of our traditional undergraduates live on campus. So as far as our campus goes, we kind of have a progression when it comes to, we have like traditional dorms for freshmen, and then we kind of have a step up from there where it's more to kind of apartment living. And then we actually do have the Milligan Village, which are set up like apartments on our campus. And again, we do have a tour available, and I'm going to provide those links after this presentation so that you can actually have a tour. And if you wanted to see inside the dorm, there is a little bit of a picture there. We let our students have a lot of liberty as far as how they want to decorate and arrange furniture, just to make it your own and make it feel like home. But it's just it's a beautiful area, beautiful campus, and there's views of the mountains from the village, especially sits up on a hill, so it's quite nice. If athletics are your interest, we have over 24 sports at Milligan. So even though we're a campus of 1,300, to be a small campus, we offer a lot of sports, as you can see here. If you are interested in a sport, one of the things that we have available is our athletic interest form that's available on our website. You just go to the athletics page, and then you click on recruits, and then all of the different sports will come up, and you just click on the one that you're interested in, fill out the form, and that goes to the coach. And that's just a way for you to let them know that you have an interest in that particular sport, and that'll start that conversation between you and the coach. As far as retention and graduation, we thought we would add this slide so that you could kind of get a picture of how Milligan stacks up against some other similar institutions in our area for retention and graduation. So as you can see, we are just above a lot of similar institutions in our area for retention and graduation. Another interesting thing to note is 89% of our students have jobs within 6 months of graduation, and a lot of them, if not that, they go on to attend grad school as well. Another pillar that I wanted to talk to you about is faith. This is another one of the pillars that supports our mission. And so we try to approach everything from a Christian worldview. Our desire is to make a global impact, and again, just helping our students to discern what it means to be servant leaders. Our campus is Christ-centered. As you can see, we are affiliated with the Christian churches. A lot of our curriculum and faculty are Christian, and our campus ministries, we offer just a variety of ministries that students can be involved in, from chapel, which we have every Thursday, and convocation on Tuesdays. Chapel is more like a worship service in that our students lead the music. We have a speaker every week who usually does a series of messages that are on a relevant topic pertaining to where you are as a student. Convocation is a little bit different in that it's not really a worship service. It's more of a lecture, or it can be a film, or something designed to help you grow in your Christian faith, but not necessarily like a worship service. And then basically overall, between our chapel services, our convocation, the classroom setting, what we're trying to do is just instill that idea of what it means to be a Christian in today's society in our students. And Milligan is a member of the CCCU, which is the College for Christian Colleges, the Council for Christian Colleges and Universities, as you can see in the corner. As far as expectations, I mean, you can see a lot of this in the student handbook, but we are a Christian community. We have academic, spiritual, and social guidelines, but basically the bottom line is just a respect for truth, for others, and for God. And again, if you want to kind of delve a little bit further into the expectations for the campus, you can see our student handbook as well. these are just a few of the accolades that Milligan has received over the years. And Milligan is a very historic place. And we have something very exciting along with all of these accolades that we're very proud of. In June, we are actually becoming Milligan University. So on June 1, we'll officially be Milligan University. So we're very, very excited just to continue the tradition and continue the mission of Milligan, but becoming a university, which we've already been acting as a university as we grant graduate degrees, and we have 2 doctoral degrees, but this will make it official and will broaden our reach and our scope. The last portion of the presentation, I just want to talk a little bit about our application process, which we try to keep very, very simple, and then a little bit about financial aid, scholarships, things like that. But our application process, as you can see, our application is available at milligan.edu/apply. And so once you apply, I think the application probably takes about 10 or 15 minutes. All we require are your test scores, and as you can see from the slide, we have our code here for ACT and the SAT, what you would need to put on those tests in order for Milligan to receive your scores. But all we would need are your test scores and then your transcript. And once we have those 2 items, we'll be able to complete a review of your application. Our admissions committee will review it. We'll determine your admission decision, and then we as recruiters, we're kind of with our students all the way through the process. From the time you apply, we're constantly in touch with you, just making sure that all your questions are answered and you kind of know where you are in the process. So that's something that we really try to just stay in touch with our students all along the way. But once we've got that decision, we're in touch with you to congratulate you on your admission. And sometimes depending on the test scores, and briefly earlier I was mentioning about how Milligan does a holistic approach to admissions. If a test score is within a certain range, if it might be a little bit lower, again, that doesn't mean you won't be accepted at Milligan. It just means that our admissions committee may request a couple of recommendations. They may want you to write a personal essay. We don't have an essay as part of our application, but sometimes if they need a little bit more to see a little bit more about you as a student, that may be required. But that is our application process, and like I said, it's fairly simple. Moving on to talk a little bit about scholarships and aid. So every student that applies to Milligan is considered automatically for our academic scholarship. And so depending on your GPA and test scores, that range could be anywhere from $8,000 to $16,000. And once you're admitted to Milligan, that amount is included on your acceptance letter. So initially you'll get an acceptance letter letting you know you've been admitted, and it will include that dollar amount for the academic scholarship. But in addition to that, we also have other scholarships. As you can see, we have honor scholarships, we have a diversity scholarship, we have an ECE, Equal Chance for Education scholarship for DACA students. We have music scholarships, musical theater, the performing arts scholarships too. A neat thing about that is you do not have to be a music major to apply for those. So that, you know, if you just happen to be studying, say, psychology or history or education, and you wanted to apply for one of those scholarships, you could. You don't have to be a music major for those. We have scholarships for engineering. For fine arts, you can see in photography, graphic design, art, and cinema. We have a ministry leadership scholarship if you have a desire to study in some type of ministry. We have scholarships for athletics. And we also, these are new to us, but we have some activity groups, which are drumline, fly fishing, and disc golf are ones that we've added recently. But there's a lot of ways to cover the cost. And a lot of times, being that Milligan is private, a lot of times people wonder about the affordability. But because you can get your academic scholarship automatically, and then you're able to pair another scholarship, whether it be athletics or musical theater, or one of these others, you're able to stack those together. You can't stack 2 with your academic, but you can stack 1, and that really it can be quite the savings when you're looking at overall total cost. Also, we have some Milligan grants available as well based on need. So one of the things that you'll do is complete a FAFSA, and I'm sure that you guys have probably heard that word, but you'll complete a FAFSA, and then you would add Milligan's school code on your FAFSA, and so that allows us to find out what your eligibility is. So based on that information, Milligan will grant some funds that are supported by different endowed scholarships. We have those grants available for students. So basically what happens is once you're admitted and we receive your FAFSA, then we're able to put together a total award package for you. And that would be your bottom dollar amount, basically letting you know everything that you're awarded, and then that gives you kind of an idea of what your total cost would be as well. But thank you so much for letting me share a little bit about Milligan and about our application process and financial aid. And now I just want to open it up to your questions. I'm happy to answer those for you. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Becky. We did get a few questions while you were speaking.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna go back, and so you mentioned taking mandatory religion classes. Does that lead to a certification or license of some kind?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
During your presentation, you brought up the point about taking mandatory religion classes. And does that lead to a certification, a license, or some type of recognition?
For taking like the Old Testament, New Testament, the biblical classes, is that what you were asking about?
I think so.
No, that is just part of our core curriculum. As being a Christian institution, our students take Old Testament, New Testament, Christ and culture, and then the college and service class.
Got it. What is the most popular major or department at Milligan?
So we have about 5 that are listed as our top, one being our engineering program, our nursing program, business and psychology, and education.
Thank you. And do you happen to know the dollar amount of the average financial aid package?
It's around 19,000, but again, just looking at now where we are in the admission process for 2020, there are many students that pay far less than that, and some that may not pay anything at all. It really just depends on the individual student's situation. One of the things that we can always go back and do is once a student gets that total award, and I'm working with some students right now on this, their unmet need is still not quite where they need it to be. We can go back to Student Financial Services and explore other options. We also have an appeal process where basically the appeal process is very simple. If you still have that unmet need that's just not quite where you need it to be, you can send me a detailed statement of kind of your financial situation, and I'm just the liaison. I don't make the decisions, but I take that and I fill out a form, our appeal request form, and I put that information together and send it to our financial aid appeals committee, and then they'll take a look again at your situation and re-award based on that.
Awesome, thank you. Does dining services accommodate students with dietary needs and restrictions, especially gluten-free?
Yes, absolutely. We have lots of students at Milligan who have certain diet restrictions, so they can definitely accommodate that with no problem at all.
Awesome. What division is sports at Milligan College?
I failed to tell them that. I apologize for that. It's NAIA.
Are non-Christian students able to attend Milligan?
Absolutely. And we have a real diverse campus. Even though we're a Christian community, we basically are there to encourage students in that, but we definitely have students from all walks of faith, students who really aren't, in a walk of faith per se, but we definitely embrace all students, and all students are welcome at Milligan.
And do you know the student percentage of students who fall in the non-Christian category?
I do not know that as a percentage, but I will say that probably the majority of our campus are students that are students of faith. But again, we have a decent group of students that don't express, a certain denomination or affiliation with a certain church or anything like that.
Awesome. What graduate and or doctoral degrees do you offer?
So we have a doctoral degree. We actually have a seminary at Milligan. It's called Emmanuel Christian Seminary. So we offer doctoral degrees through that if a student is interested in like going on past the, I mentioned the ministry leadership program where you can get a bachelor's degree in like children's ministry, student ministry, things like that. But if you wanted to go on and pursue further, we offer some doctoral degrees in our seminary and then in our education program.
Thank you. And we've seen that a lot of schools are moving towards being test optional. Is Milligan considering doing the same?
As far as with like your ACT, SAT?
Yeah.
I don't know of that right now. Something we have moved to in light of the coronavirus and being that we're all mostly working virtually is with the students having a little bit of an issue with the date of the ACT and the SAT. We're also accepting the CLT, which we sent an email out to a lot of our applicants and inquiries and things like that regarding that test. Is being offered earlier. It's being offered April 25th. So we are accepting that as far as admitting students.
Great.
And if someone isn't familiar with that, because I think most students have heard of ACT or SAT, but it's the CLT and it's the classical learning test.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked a little bit about the scholarships. Do you happen to know the amount ranges for other non-academic scholarships that you offer?
Yes, I can give you a little. I've got some of those listed. Some of them, of course, like with activities like disc golf, fly fishing, things like that. It's up to the coach, I guess, depending on the experience of the student, that kind of thing. But some of them do list, like we have an engineering scholarship that's $2,000 per year. Ministry leadership program scholarship is for some ministry majors. It's $5,000. The performing arts scholarships work a little bit like the activities in that the actual directors kind of set those amounts. We do have a nursing scholarship through Ballad Health, which is the health affiliate, the big one in our area. But if you commit to a certain time period of working for Ballad, you can get a scholarship through Ballad as well.
Awesome.
And I did mention the Jeans Honor Scholarship earlier with that one, and with a lot of these that are not the academic, there is a deadline. So like for your students, say your junior students, like priority deadline for these is December 1. So a lot of these, there's a priority deadline, and then there is a separate application, and that is on our website. If you go to scholarships and aid, under financial aid, it lists all these different scholarships out, and they each list their requirements for the different scholarships. But the main thing to know about those is there is a separate application other than the admission application, and then some of those have a deadline. And some of them have an audition. If you're, if it's a performing arts or music, that type of thing, it could include an audition as well.
Great.
Oh, and the other thing about the audition right now, that we're having to kind of do all of this virtually, I know they have set up to do interviews and things like that virtually. So that's no problem to do that if a student needs that.
Wonderful, thank you. Are you still accepting applications?
Yes, we have a rolling admissions process at Milligan. So, I mean, even yesterday, we still have applications coming in. We still have deposits coming in. You know, we're still moving students through that process, yes, for fall.
Perfect. What percent of financial need do you typically meet for students that are Pell eligible?
I don't know the percentage. What I do know is when students are Pell eligible, typically they get a substantial amount in our Milligan grant as well. And between the two of those, it really can help meet the need for the student. Like I said, I think 19,000 was around the average of what a student, what students pay, but there are students that pay a lot less than that. Some pay close to nothing at all, just depending on where that student is. A lot of that's determined by the EFC on the FAFSA, and the EFC being the expected family contribution.
Would you say that DACA international students are able to get a comparable financial aid as domestic students?
Yes, and I think I'd mentioned the Equal Chance for Education, the ECE. So absolutely, yes.
Awesome. And did you mention the dollar amount for the ECE?
I did. I don't think that I did, and I don't have that amount in front of me. I can certainly find that information out and provide it to you all along with those links that I mentioned earlier. But I'll definitely get that for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So those are all the questions that we have right now. If anyone else has an additional question before we end this webinar, feel free to use the chat box to do that. And then our last question from us is, so you know, we are in Durham, North Carolina.
Right.
And just wanted to know how or why would Milligan College would be a good fit for a North Carolina student or a student coming from Durham?
The first thing that I think of is just location. We're not that far apart. I'm not exactly sure. I know I was going to travel there, so I was kind of looking at my travel time before we had coronavirus. So what is it, about 3.5 hours away from Milligan, something like that. But close proximity is one. I would also say that if a student is looking for, you know, a smaller Christian campus, I know a lot of times when students are looking for that fit, I think that's one of those particular items. You know, and visiting obviously is a great way to determine if a school is a good fit for you. But I feel like at least now we have this virtual platform to do this, but I feel like that students who are looking for that smaller campus setting, a place where they can quite easily make connection, and they're going to have a lot of faculty, staff support, that is definitely something that you'll find at Milligan. So I feel like students from the North Carolina area, especially students looking for that in particular, but also a school that, even to be small, offers a lot of majors. Like I said, over 100 plus. So chances are we would have your major.
Perfect. And one last thing. So do you accept self-reported test scores, or do they have to come from the testing agency?
We can actually accept those unofficials, so to speak, and we can admit on those waiting for the officials. Like a lot of times students will send us a screenshot of their score report, which we can work off of that, and even an unofficial transcript. But you know, we will have to have the official score at a later time, but we can admit based on those unofficial.
Great. Thank you so much, Becky. Those are all the questions.
Well, you are so welcome. It was so great to be with you all, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to actually meet face to face, right?
Yes, for sure. We'd love to have you at the center. Students, don't forget to go to bit.ly/GPC workshop to be entered into a $20 gift card raffle for attending this workshop. And again, we'd like to thank you so much, Becky. We'll be in touch, and we hope you're staying safe and healthy, and have a good rest of your day.
You all as well. God bless you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.